I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm a little bit late. We're trying something new. Rob's gonna help put the truck away from now on so that there's no more issues. How are we, ladies, gentlemen? Anyone who's watching? Mostly not watching. That's okay. Ah, I almost didn't do one today just because my day is kind of weird and I thought maybe I would go later or something. Nope. I'm doing it. So, our country is so confused. It is so incredibly confused. And that confusion comes from a lot of things. You know, big cities with huge skyscrapers where people are stacked in on top of each other, hundreds and hundreds of families in little boxes, hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air. Yeah, no, that is definitely unhealthy. Very unhealthy. You have nowhere to go. Either way, there's more to it than that, though. You see, people are saying that our culture stigmatizes violence, and they're coming to the point where they're actually what's a good word? Inundated with violence in a way that they cannot separate it from, you know, reality and fiction. It's becoming blurred. Everything is like video games are inspiring real world violence, real world things are inspiring video game, multiplayer toxicity. They affect each other in both ways. And when you stigmatize one kind of violence but don't really work on the other kind of violence, all you're doing is creating that halfway culture that I was telling you about. So you cannot say that we're giving honor to violence when we're throwing people in jail for assault and things like that. Like, even our most violent sports, such as cage fighting, boxing, all that stuff, they're padded, they're gloved, and like the bare knuckle stuff is very, what's the word? It's very shunned from the public view. No, they say it's a specialty thing. Only a particular kind of person likes to watch that stuff. Well, actually, every kind of person does like to see that stuff. Some people are more willing to admit it than others. Some people just like to see different kinds of it, and maybe a fight isn't what they're looking for. The point that I'm making is when you stigmatize one kind of violence and say that is bad, but then you say, well, this is, it's whatever, it's just kind of a social construct, what do you do about... No. You either stigmatize violence or you embrace it as part of your culture, and you teach everybody how to protect themselves from that violence because it is part of who they are too. Everybody has not just a responsibility to care for themselves, but they have the right to understand that they can and they should, and it's so much better than sitting in your room on a computer hoping you don't get bullied when you go to school. You have to fight. And it took, I can't fault people because most people haven't gone through anything which would clear that to them. You have to go through some kind of real violence to understand violence. And that doesn't even guarantee that you'll still understand it, because many people they're so self-involved from what happens in the world that they only think of the time that it happened to them, not the thousands of times that it happens all over the world. And that's where the problem is. Most of this becomes selfish. So either learn to embrace what violence means to people as a survival tactic, as a reactionary measure to defend yourself. Like, violence can't just be completely hated, because if somebody is crazy doing an illegal thing, it's nice to know how to throw a punch, draw your knife, pull a gun, like all that stuff. It's necessary. So you can't keep doing this halfway culture stuff. You either have to accept it for what it is and embrace it because people want to be on the same team, or you have to completely get rid of it altogether so that everybody can accept it in that way. The halfway stuff's not working, and you're going to keep sabotaging yourself as long as you keep playing that game.